On prehistoric Earth, a humanoid alien stands above a waterfall as a hovering spacecraft departs overhead. The alien ingests a dark liquid, then starts to disintegrate. As its bodily remains cascade into the waterfall, the alien's DNA triggers a biogenetic reaction. Many centuries later, in 2089, archaeologists and partners Elizabeth Shaw and Charlie Holloway discover ancient star maps that are common to several unconnected, extinct human cultures. They interpret the presence of these maps as an invitation from humanity's forerunners and creators or engineers. Sir Peter Weyland, the elderly CEO of Weyland Corporation, elects to finance a scientific expedition to follow the maps, constructing the advanced research vessel Prometheus for this purpose. The ship's crew makes the long journey in stasis while the android David monitors their voyage. The crew arrive at their destination in the year 2093, a moon designated LV-223, where the crew are informed of their mission to find the engineers. Mission Director Meredith Vickers issues orders to avoid making direct contact with any sentient life forms. The Prometheus lands near a large artificial structure on the moon's surface, and a team heads inside to explore. Inside they find several ampules, a monolithic statue of a humanoid head, and the corpse of a giant humanoid alien, thought to be one of the engineers. Other bodies are later found, and the species is presumed to be extinct. David secretly steals one of the ampules for study, while the remaining cylinders begin leaking a dark liquid. A rapidly approaching storm forces the crew to return to the Prometheus. However, Milburn and Fifield become lost inside the structure and are left to fend for themselves overnight until they can be rescued. In the ship, the deceased engineer's DNA is analyzed and found to match that of humans. Meanwhile, David investigates the ampule and discovers the black liquid within. He intentionally infects Holloway with the substance unaware. Holloway engages in sexual intercourse with Shaw. Inside the structure, Fifield and Milburn are attacked by two snake-like creatures. Milburn is killed, while corrosive fluid from one of the creatures melts Fifield's helmet, exposing him to the leaking dark liquid in the room. The next day, the crew returns to the structure and finds Milburn's corpse. David discovers a room containing a surviving engineer held in stasis and a star map highlighting Earth. Holloway's infection rapidly ravages his body, and he is rushed back to the Prometheus. Vickers refuses to let him aboard, citing the need for quarantine, and eventually euthanizes him with a flamethrower at his own request. Shaw begins to feel physical discomfort in her abdomen, and a medical scan reveals that, despite being sterile, she is somehow pregnant. She quickly discovers the offspring is alien in origin and uses an automated surgery table to remove it from her body. And now monstrous and mutated Fifield attacks the hangar bay and kills several crew members before being killed himself. The Prometheus captain, Janek, speculates that the structure they have found was part of an engineer military base that lost control of its biological weapon, the mutagenic black liquid. Weyland and a team return to the structure where they awaken the surviving engineer. David attempts to speak to the engineer to explain what Weyland wants. The engineer responds by decapitating David and killing Weyland and his team. Shaw escapes, but the engineer ship is activated by the engineer. The still active David communicates with Shaw and reveals that the engineer is going to release the black liquid mutagen on Earth. Shaw convinces Janek to stop the engineer's spaceship, which he does by crashing the Prometheus into it, killing himself and his remaining crew, who willingly stayed with him. Only Vickers escapes the ship, ejecting in an escape pod only for the disabled engineer spaceship to come crashing back down to the moon, with the wreckage crushing and killing Vickers. Shaw makes it to Vickers' lifeboat and finds the alien offspring she had removed, now grown to enormous size, trapped inside the medical bay. David reveals to her that the engineer has survived the crash of the ship. Moments later, the infuriated engineer then forces open the lifeboat's airlock and attacks Shaw, but she unleashes the alien offspring upon it and flees. After a struggle, the engineer is subdued by the huge creature, which thrusts an ovipositor down the engineer's throat. Shaw recovers David's body from inside the wrecked engineer ship and, with his help, the pair launch in another similar craft, heading for the engineer's homeworld, hoping to discover why they created humanity only to later attempt to destroy it. Meanwhile, inside the Prometheus lifeboat, an alien creature bursts from the engineer's chest.